What's up? It's K.Honesty, and I'm about to review Tyler Perry's Sistas, Season 6, Episode 2. So if you haven't seen the second episode of Season 6 of Tyler Perry's Sistas, turn this video off right now. Go watch the episode and come back and watch this video. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. It's an easy and free way of supporting my channel. It literally takes less than 3 seconds. Cool, thank you so much. Anything I say is my opinion, does not reflect anyone or anything associated with the show. I am not being told what to say or anything like that. These are my opinions and my expressions and how I feel. What else? I'm not a public speaker, so you will tend to hear me say like 1,000 times. Might say so like 1,000 times. I might pause in the middle of me talking to make sure I know what I'm talking about and I'm on point with what I'm talking about. Definitely gonna be looking to my notes over here that I take while I'm watching the show. All that good stuff. Let me scoot it up some, because even though I got my glasses, I still want to be as close as possible. Yeah, what else? Close, of course, I got my water bottle. Nice and slushy. I love it. I love it. And what else? Yeah, I'm going to grade this episode. I like to grade the episodes before and after my reviews. I'm going to grade this episode a C-. I'm sorry, Sistas, just not giving for me right now. First episode didn't give too much for me. This episode didn't give too much for me. The fact that Karen wasn't still not showing kind of threw me off. I ain't like that. So I'm just like, the fact that she wasn't showing in the season 6 premiere. She wasn't in this episode, but it's still just like, maybe I should do C+ because Karen wasn't in this episode, because I can't stand Karen. But no, I ain't gonna do that because she might possibly be hurt or something. So, well, let's get into it. So the first scene, you know, at the end of the last scene, at the end of the last episode. Oh, excuse me. Andy, Sabrina, Karen went to go pick Danny up. She was getting drunk at the bar, confronted Preston. Oh, excuse me. Burping like a mug. You know, she confronted Preston and the girl while they was having dinner. So now Andy's driving Danny home. And believe me when I tell you, usually I be having to write like word for word for shows. But I be feeling like in this situation, this stuff be so non-important that I feel like I don't need to write anything. I ain't even gonna lie to you. So I really don't even know what they was talking about in this car. It was just all so, the dialogue is so, what's the word? Literally, like every scene in this episode, the dialogue is like we've already heard it last season. So it's just like, it's just like blah. Ooh, what is this? I'm dead. I just realized I had this Band-Aid on my chin last night. I just realized it was gone. I wake up, it's on my arm. That's funny as hell. That's funny, bruh. I didn't even realize it wasn't on my chin no more. I definitely would have did my review with that joint on my chin. I don't care. Damn, that joint came off and got on my arm. That's how you know I was sleeping good. Anything, I lost what I was talking about. Okay, so yeah, so Andy and Danny. Andy's driving Danny home, and you know they just talking about how they came at Danny, this, that, and the third. Andy was like, we know we love you. It's just your turn in the hot seat, all that good stuff. Danny was like, yeah, I know y'all love me. Y'all just do too much. This is back and forth, like same stuff they always been talking about. Get to talking about Gary, and he like, I'm gonna leave Gary eventually. Danny was like, what, you gonna leave him before the marriage or after the divorce? Cause you always tend to let situations linger too long, and then it be too late, stuff like that. I just feel like, okay, y'all gonna keep warning Andy about Gary. She obviously dickmatized, whatever you want to call it. The dick too good, so she just like, she gonna still be talking to him. Plus, she just trying to keep him in her good graces because he was about to sue her over the apartment in the car. And plus, she want to know where her job stands. She trying to get promoted or something like that. So she just trying to keep Gary in the loop so she could find out more stuff, I feel like. But still, it's like, Andy, is it worth it? Because if you think about it, this nigga Gary is like a real live. He may not be a stalker, but he's on that level. Like, this nigga, He does stuff just to be around her. He got her to a penthouse right across from his office so he could watch through a fucking telescope. Creep shit. Got her that car, which I don't doubt it being a tracker in that bitch. It's probably a tracker in there somewhere. Because I know she got the dude to come check for cameras in the penthouse, but did she get him to check the car? And now this nigga trying to sabotage Andy's boss so he can be there at her job. So it's just like, and Andy just, I don't know what's wrong with Andy. Andy just, man, that's what I be saying. Like, Andy gotta be smarter than that. So Danny comes home, and first of all, at the beginning of this episode, it was saying something about if you know anybody's been sexually assaulted and all that. Little disclaimer. So I was like, okay. I was like, what does this mean? Because I was like, the way the last episode ended, who about to get hurt and all that? I was like, what's about to happen? So then we get this scene, Danny comes home. And I was like, why are they showing us Danny coming home? I was like, I thought Preston was about to be in her apartment. She's about to go off. Like, how you get in here, da-da-da. No, she comes in her apartment, opens the fridge, grabs a beer, turns around. And it's the dude, I don't remember the dude's name, but the dude she met at the airport and took him home. And I guess his sex game wasn't good and his penis wasn't that big, so Danny wasn't feeling it. Started clowning him. So he started hitting her, he spit on her and all that, and then she chased him outside and hit him with her car. And he went to the hospital. I think he had like some broken ribs. I don't know what it was, but this dude pops up in her apartment. She turned around, he's like, oh, you thought I was going to let you get away with what you did? Then they show Preston approaching the door. And I guess he hears the man's voice, so he's like, oh, she in there with somebody, so he leaves out. He goes to sit in his car. So next thing you know, Danny, she telling the dude, get out my house, da-da-da. He not listening, of course. He's like, I ain't going nowhere till we finish this. And I was like, what do you mean, like, finish he about to beat this, he's about to try to beat her, or is he about to rape her? I didn't know what was going on. But he was like, we about to finish this. She hits dude upside the head with the beer bottle. He kind of falls, stumbles to the floor. She started beating the mess out of him. They started tussling. Danny tries to reach for a knife. She's not quick enough. She gets knocked to the floor, so now he on top of her, hitting her. She trying to kind of blocking it all, but she's still getting hit at the same time. Meanwhile, this nigga Preston, he's sitting in his car like, I don't know, man. Should I go? I don't even think I should go back in. She obviously in there with somebody. I don't even, man. He started his engine, so we ain't know what Preston was about to do. Dude in there choking Danny out. Next thing you know, Preston busts up in there. Knock dude off of Danny, start beating him up. Danny gets up, starts helping Preston, and they kicking him and shit. I thought that part was funny. I was like, look at them jumping him. Then we get this scene. Andy comes home, and, you know, last episode, Gary called her. He laying in her bed filled with rose petals. And I'm just like, see, this nigga got too much control over your life. He could get in your apartment whenever he want. It's just like, it's just annoying at this point. I ain't gonna lie. So they start talking like, you know how people when they doing the what is it called, the BDSM, you know how they talk like. Gary's like, I'm gonna do whatever you ask me to do, and he's like, okay, well, I don't want you to touch me, da da da. I was just like, okay. He was like, but we need to talk about you being in my office, and they just saying all the same stuff that we already talked about last season. Like Gary was saying, oh, well, you told Robin, you warned him, you got him the money, this, that, and the third. And it's just a whole bunch of stuff. Gary saying he wanted Robin out so he could be there. It's just like stuff we already knew. Like, come on, get to a new storyline. I'm tired of these storylines we already know. Like, come on, bruh. So Andy was like, well, I think you should leave, Gary. Gary was like, well, it's too late, so I'm just going to stay here. And that's what I be saying, like Gary, like, Tyler Perry make these men too thirsty. I don't like that. Like, if she tell you to leave, bruh, you leave. I just don't understand it. Like, and that's what, and she just be letting them get away with it. That's the problem. She in there, I mean, yeah, I'm going to stay because it's late. And she just says it's okay. Like, yeah, okay. She does tell him he has to stay in the guest room, though. He's like, for real, the guest room? Because he's like, I just want to stay tonight and lay with you. I'm just like, it's so cringy how these dudes are on here. Even the women are sometimes. It just, I don't know. I just get irritated every time. So she was like, yeah, you can stay, but in the guest room. So he was like, all right, he goes to the guest room. I'm just like, okay, whatever, man. This whole episode, that's why I said C minus. They lucky I don't get this done a D. Literally every storyline is still the same storyline from last season. And that's because they aren't finished. And it's so annoying because they should be finished by now. We're on season 6. So back at Danny's place, the officer taking her statement. She does mention that she has a restraining order against the guy. So I didn't even know that. So they was like, all right, we're going to investigate, keep in touch, whatever you want to call it. They leave. Preston get to telling Danny, you know, I'm glad I came back because I almost didn't. But I wanted to come in here and confront whoever you was with. He was like, I know you glad I came back too, even though you ain't going to admit it and all that. You know, Danny, she deflecting from what Preston's saying. She's like, I'm tired. I don't want to talk about this right now. Da-da-da. She's like, you can go, Preston. And Preston was like, well, I'm going to stay here tonight because, I'm going to stay here. No, he was like, I'm going to stay here tonight with you. Danny was like, well, what about the girl Mindy? The person was like, well, Mindy knows I love you, and she said that you love me too. Da, da, da. Danny was just still like, she's still just like in awe. Like, I can't believe that y'all let this type of stuff fly. So she's just like, man, what woman would be okay with that? She's just like, it could never be me. The person was like, a woman that knows my heart. So I'm just like, you talking about Mindy? Mindy knows your heart. You're not making this easy. Like, Preston. I didn't know what he meant by that. Like, what? So Calvin, he comes over to Sabrina's house to tell her about what happened with Maurice and Q at the airport. You know, Sabrina, she going like, what? Like, oh my gosh. Asked if Q's still alive. Calvin was like, as far as I know. He was like, Maurice. She was like, what did Maurice? Calvin was like, Maurice doesn't seem to care that he could go back to jail. Which is crazy because you had this African man put up $1.5 million for your bail. And you out here doing reckless stuff like you doing. Even at the end of this episode, he goes back to the hospital to torment Q. Tell him, I'm going to get a confession out of him. I mean, if you do, great. But if not, you just jeopardizing your whole case. Should be lucky the nigga alive. Spoiler alert, Q's alive. We see him in the next episode. I knew he didn't. I knew he wasn't going to die. It was just because where he got shot at. He got shot in his right shoulder. It was like right high up. I was like, if anything, it's just going to be like an arm sprain or something. And what they got him in the next episode, an arm sprain. So right after Calvin tells Sabrina what happened with Maurice and Q, Maurice barges in Sabrina's house, don't even knock, just opens the door. Her door unlocked, apparently. Walks in. He's talking about, it's Brittany, bitch. I thought that was funny. Like I said, Maurice be having some funny moments, but 95% of the time, he be doing too much. 5%, for the other 5, comedy. So Sabrina's like, she's like, what did you do, Maurice? This is how I confronting him. Maurice tells what happened, you know, in the dramatic way that Maurice is. He was like, I lost everything. I couldn't just let Q get away with it. He was like, and I ain't done, or something like that. He's like, but that's not what I'm here for, girl. He was like, we need to get our jobs back. I'm like, nigga, how you think y'all gonna get y'all jobs back? Y'all got an open investigation on y'all. So Sabrina goes into detail saying she talked to the corporate office and they said they want to do a full investigation before anybody can even get their jobs back. I'm like, even after they do the investigation, y'all done got charged with getting this bank robbed. I don't think y'all gonna get y'all job back. But hey, shoot, Q robbed the bank and still ended up walking in there afterwards. So you never know with this damn show. Sabrina was like, well, at least we're out on bail. Maurice was like, I don't like this. Sabrina's like, well, I can't tell because this is all your fault. Start talking, like listing all the stuff you let him come in the bank. You let him stay at your house. It's all your fault. Calvin agreeing. He like, y'all gonna gang up on me? And Sabrina's like, plus we didn't get fired. We just got put on leave. Maurice was like, girl, that's fired. She was like, they just saying leave so they won't be plausible. But that's, so yeah. So they won't be liable. That's the only reason they saying leave. So I'm like, nigga. She was like, so he was like, yeah, nigga, we got fired. We ain't no leave. We got fired. So Maurice goes and talking again. You know, she took everything from me, so I'm not gonna stop till I take everything from him. Calvin and Sabrina's like, he literally has nothing. I thought that was funny when they said it, like he literally has nothing. And Maurice was like, well, I'm gonna take half of whatever. I'm gonna take half of that. Then we get this Zatima scene. Like I said, on Sistas, they make Zatima seem like they fine. Ain't nothing wrong. But then you get on the show Zatima and they having problems. So it's just like, I don't even know. So it's like, you never know what the timeline is on these celebrity shows. So I don't even know. So Zatima, I said Zatima. Fatima comes downstairs. Zach done made breakfast for her. Obviously, I already knew what was about to happen. She had her work clothes on. Like, I don't have time for breakfast. She was like, I was trying to make you breakfast in bed. She was like, I gotta go in early for a deposition. Da da da. She was like, plus she hints that like Zach not being a good cook. So so Zach says he's gonna reach out to his baby mother Heather, see about finally like formally meeting his son. He was like, you want to come, Fatima? Fatima was like, well, yeah, I could come if it's after work. She was like, but you should know, you know what, you should go now just in case. Just in case he's not living right or something like that. You want to see his living conditions. She was like, you should call her now. Yeah, she was like, yeah, I'm gonna go. She was like, just text me, let me know how it goes. So Fatima leaves. Zach calls Heather. She was like, who is this? He was like, Zach. He was like, I'm coming to see my son. She was like, shoot, you giving me money. You come see your son whenever you want. Zach was like, thank you. I thought it was funny. So he was like, she was like, yeah, I gotta get some sleep first. So he was like, I'm coming around 1. She was like, make it 3. So Zach was like, who watches your son while you sleep or something like that? No, he said, who watches our son while you sleep? Heather was like, well, my sister watches him while I'm at work, and I watch him, and I got him during the day while my sister working. Then Zach was like, so who watching him while you sleep? So she was like, he got his tablet and his TV and his computers and all that. Which in real life, his mothers out there, they do that all the time. When they gotta get some shut out, they get their kids a tablet. I don't know if it's right or not, but kids be loving that tablet, that computer. You hand a kid a tablet, they be good. But she said, yeah, he got his tablet and all that. So Zach was like, so he gonna be in there alone by himself all day? I mean, he not alone. She in the next room sleep. Depending on how light of a sleeper is, she might be able to hear something, but still, I get what he's saying. It's a toddler, and you sleeping the whole day. So, yeah, so he was like, he just be by himself all day doing it, whatever. So Heather was like, well, the door be locked, and oh snap, the cat done pooped on the floor. She all loud though. So Heather was like, well, the door be locked, and Zach was like, oh snap, Sandy is our cat. She must have pooped on the floor. That's why my mother yelling. I'm sorry, I still don't know how to edit out sounds in the background. It is what it is. So Heather was like, "Will the door be locked?" Zach was like, "Oh no, I'm definitely coming over to see my son." So I'm thinking now Zach might be actually just trying to take the kid in. Which might make Heather go back to Hayden if that money stopped coming in. I can't remember. Is he giving her $1,000 a month or $3,000? I can't remember. So I'm assuming it's the next morning because Preston comes in Danny's area sleeping because, you know, she got a studio. So I guess he came from out the bathroom. I don't know what door he came from out of. And her bed was right there. It looked like, I don't know. He comes in. He's like, he was like, I made breakfast. You know, you got to be to work in 2 hours. She was like, you know my schedule better than me. Da-da-da. So she's still bringing up, what about the girl Mindy? So Preston was like, well, I'm going to go fly Mindy back home. Then I'm going to come stay with you for a while. And Danny was like, nah, you're not going to do that. Preston was like, well, you know the guy who assaulted you got out. He made bail last night. So Danny was like, how? Preston was like, I don't know. He must got people in high places or something like that. So Danny was like, well, how do you know? Preston was like, he called the police station. That's how he found out. He was like, so he gonna stay with her for a little while. Danny was like, no, I got me. Preston was like, well, if you're not gonna say how you feel and you're gonna keep acting like that, I can go home. You can just go stay with one of your girlfriends. Danny was like, I ain't letting that nigga run me up out of my house. I feel that. The Preston was like, well, I'm staying there. She was like, all right, where you staying? I'm just like, look how... This is like a Gary and Andy situation that they just had in the beginning of this episode, except it was more kind of politer, more caring, but it's still just like these dudes be pressing. I mean, I get Preston's pressing in this moment because like he want to make sure she's safe, but it's still just like these dudes don't be taking no for an answer, and it's cringy to watch. Then we get another unnecessary scene that we already knew. Gary calls Hayden. They still wondering if Robin got the money or didn't get the money. I don't know. They haven't heard from Robin. Hayden saying, we got this. Chill, Gary. Just keep saying that. He was like, I'm call you back. I'm trying to get up in this thing. Talking about the girl that Fatima hired to set him up. Gary still asks, what do you know about this girl? You need to vet her. Hayden like, man, I got this. You don't think a girl like that could want somebody like me? Like, I'm that nigga. This, you know, this little stupid ass conversations that they be having. Gary even tries to ask Hayden for the girl name. Hayden don't give it to her, though. Hayden seems obviously sprung, but you never know with Hayden. He could probably be setting her up. But in the next episode, he surprised her with like a trip. He's like, we got to go now, though. So I don't know. So then Andy comes out. They get off the phone, Hayden and Gary. Andy comes out. They still going back and forth about the situation at the office. And it's just like, it's like the same dialogue. You just want to control me. You trying to get Robin now. You trying to be at my job now. You got this penthouse. The same argument, same situation all the time. At Sabrina's house, she done made breakfast for Maurice. I guess for Calvin. Calvin was like, I got to go to work. Maurice calls to Calvin Tommy. he was like, Tommy, where you work at? I thought that was funny because we don't know where Calvin works at. We don't know where Aaron works at neither. It's annoying. Only person we know that works somewhere is Zach. I mean, he do his own thing, like the real estate and the little business he got going with the Asian dude on his show. I don't know if the dude Asian. Don't get me wrong. But we don't know what and we knew Maurice worked at the airport. We even knew Q was a scammer, but we don't know what Calvin and Aaron does. I mean, we know Aaron's supposed to be a preacher, but it's just like we don't never see him at church. we always see him in this toxic situation. So it's like, how much of a preacher is he? We see him counseling the dudes counseling Gary from time to time, trying to give Zach some insight from time to time, but that's all we see. I don't know. So I thought that was funny when Maurice called Calvin Tommy. I was like, yeah, what does he work at? So Calvin ignores it. He's like, I'm going to get up out of here. Maurice was like, y'all ain't going to kiss. Calvin leaves. Maurice was telling Sabrina, you know, he crazy about you, girl. She was like, how do you feel about him? Sabrina ignored. I don't want to talk about it. You know. Maurice gets to talking about, I'm gonna get the cue. I'm gonna get him to confess this, that, and the third. Sabrina's like, you just need to stop. You're gonna make it worse. She's like, hopefully he's still alive. Because otherwise that's gonna be worse. Like hopefully he's not dead. So Maurice gets to talking about, we need to get our jobs back. We need to talk to that black woman that was their boss. I don't know her name. He was like, I never liked her anyway. This banter from Maurice. He was like, I'm about to go to the hospital to see about my man. Talking about Q. I said, bruh, this could never be real life. That man that gave up $1.5 million to get you out, and you out here doing reckless stuff. He was like, sometimes real niggas gotta learn the hard way. He was like, oh, you date Calvin. You wouldn't know nothing about that. I thought that was funny. He dipped up out of there. I thought that was funny. That's what I said. Maurice be having some funny moments. Like calling Calvin Tommy, I thought that was funny. And then saying, oh, you wouldn't know nothing about that. You date Calvin. Then we get this scene with the girl that Fatima hired to set up Hayden. Her name's Tamara. So they booed up, and she's like, you think you're gonna really be able to get me the job at your firm? And Hayden's like, well, that's the first thing I'm gonna check on when I get to work. Tamara's like, well, I can bring you lunch. So she landed on thick. I mean, he seemed to be falling for her, but like I said, you never know with Hayden. So Hayden's like, yeah, I gotta go to work. Not even a minute after Hayden leaves, Tamara calls Fatima. Reckless, risky. Called Fatima, and she was like, I got him hooked. Like, he wanted to be around me all the time and all that. She was like, what's next? So Fatima was like, I'll keep you posted. So Tamara was like, he's still trying to get me a job at his firm or whatever. So Fatima was like, you know you can't do that. Tamara was like, that's what I keep telling them. Lying like shit. Girl, you trying to get that job. You filled out that application. Fatima had to stop that jump. But now you asking them about it. So now Hayden gonna go to the job and realize that her application got pulled and discarded. So this girl ain't even playing it right. So she was like, oh yeah, that's what I've been telling them, lying. So Fatima was like, well, you need to find a way to put a stop to that. Tamara was like, well, I will. She was like, oh yeah, I wanted to ask about pay. So Fatima was like, pay? She was like, ain't you doing this for me didn't my cousin tell me to do this for me? So Tamara was like, yeah, but I thought it was gonna be like some money in it. And I mean, I don't blame her. Like she risking setting Hayden up, and he can ruin her life. So she risked doing this, and she ain't getting no payment out of it. So that's when Fatima was like, well, ain't he giving you gifts and stuff? And Tamara was like, yeah, but Fatima was like, well, that's your payment. And I was just like, what? Unless the gifts involving cash, obviously not, because she said she thought it was gonna be money involved. So what she just getting all this stuff that she gonna have to pawn in the end or sell the stuff? Like, I do feel Tamara in this situation. I ain't even gonna hold you. I feel Tamara in this situation. If she gonna be setting this dude up, she need to at least be getting paid. I mean, but if she worked, I don't watch all the Queen's Men, so I don't know the savagery of Queen Madam, whatever her name is. So, but if she's supposed to be doing this for the Queen Madam lady, then I don't know. She better tighten up. But I get it though. Like she ain't getting no money out of it. So Fatima basically tells Tamara, like, I don't pay you to think. I mean, she don't pay her at all. She was like, you don't think, because Tamara was like, well, I think I can get to a bigger bag. I think I can get it all. Fatima was like, I don't need you to think. Just do what I say. Tamara was like, okay, and hangs up. And she was like, this bitch got me fucked up. I'm gonna take it all. She's like, I'm gonna take all this shit. I said, bruh. I was like, what if Hayden would have just walked out and be like, take what? Take what? What you gonna take? Hayden might have been listening. Like, he literally had just left out and she called her. I was just like, bro, you was risky for that. Like, that's too risky. So then the last little scene, Aaron calls Pam. She's like, how you get my number? Which is a valid question. How did you get Pam's number, Aaron? I ain't understand that. So he avoids the question. He was like, you heard from Pam, you talked to Karen. And Pam was basically like, if Karen don't want to talk to you, then she don't want to talk to you. Like, if she wanted to talk to you, she would answer the phone, da-da. She was like, what was with that woman at the salon? That popped up at the salon. And, you know, Aaron's still deflecting. He was like, it wasn't like that. So Pam was like, well, she ran up on us. Me and Karen. That's my boo. She ran up on us. I thought that part was funny. She said, she ran up on us. Pam be funny, too. She be funny. And she don't do as much as Calvin do, but she's still funny, though. So she was like I said, Karen wanted to talk to you. She'd call you, da-da-da. She was like, matter of fact, and she was like, and also lose my number. Like, she was like, you fine and all, but lose my number. I was like, I would have investigated more into that. How you get my number? I know Karen ain't give it to you. So as she about to hang up, she gasped, oh my gosh, the salon. So Aaron got him, Pam, what's going on? What's going on? And he goes off. Like I said, I'm going to grade this episode a C-. They did not give. It was a lot of back dialogue from last season. Predictions for episodes to come. I mean, we saw a little bit. Maurice gonna pop up at the hospital on cue. Stupid. It's just like he just can't. I mean, I get it. He took everything from you. I get it. I get where Maurice coming from, but it's just like you out on bail and you just shot him. Now it's gonna be a whole new investigation to that. He just digging himself into a bigger hole. And plus, you got this dude who didn't offer 1.5. I mean, they gave 1.5 million for you to get out. And this nigga comes back. You see the African nigga that gave Sabrina the 1.5. He's in the next episode offering to pay Sabrina's rent. So I'm like, now I don't trust this nigga. I mean, I still don't trust him. Because who giving up 1.5 for somebody they don't know? So I don't trust this African dude. So I wonder what's going to happen with that. And then we see next episode, Zach and Fatima. Apparently, Fatima does end up going with Zach over to Heather's house, and they find Zach's son outside by himself. He obviously being raised by some guy that Heather talked to. Maybe he might be a pimp. So that's why I say I think Zach gonna try to get him up out of there. But now he's gonna have a new problem with this guy. They probably gonna want money out of him because he said something about, I've been raising your son. You want to come up off some dollars or something. I don't know. And then they said the fire department said they found a body in Karen's shop. And, you know, Karen was in there on the floor last episode. They ain't bring nothing back to Karen until the end of this episode. I was like, what? I would have rather seen that than all that stupid back dialogue we saw the whole episode. But even though they found the body, I don't think it's going to be Karen. It's probably going to be somebody else. And I don't think Karen lost the baby. I think this is all dramatics. What else? Oh, yeah, some woman pops up at the hospital. I'm at the airport on Danny, telling her to be careful with the dude because he out on bail, which she already knew. Yeah, those are my predictions for episodes to come. Thanks for watching this video, and please like the video and subscribe to my channel. And yeah, comment below what you thought of the episode, what you thought about what I talked about, what you would grade the episode, all that good stuff, if I forgot to talk about anything. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Peace.